and welcome to today's episode. I am your host, Westfox, joined by Shepard today, and we're talking about things that interest us. Ooh, that was good focus there. And, we're professional. So it's been a little while. We've been dealing with life stuff, like many people have. So a little delayed, we're kind of waiting for things that interest us, to be honest, because we don't just like talking to ourselves about nothing when we talk about at the same time, which that's kind of a lie. We talk about all the same stuff over and over again, but we don't want to share that always with you because we don't want you to hate us. Because it's easy to continue on down the road of complaining, and we're trying not to always complain about everything. But
it's hard when everything's bad.
It does feel like that. You have these golden patches of material like the Avatar show from back in the day, and many other ones throughout time. But we're sitting this really dark era where the material it's just getting reused. It's like, here's this beautiful work, and they're just scraping off the paint and going, we're going to make it again and again and again. And we've lost the original ideas. We're really kind of hitting things where it's just a reboot after a reboot and again, the ideas are the same ideas, and they keep having the same issues without fixing the issues. So the two topics we're going to be hitting today is the Avatar Last Airbender live action Netflix show and the Halo Infinite thing. I know these seem like completely different spaces, but they're both suffering from the same lack of, I think, vision behind them. And we're winding up with subpar material, and I think disasters in the making. I think that's the interesting thing. I think these are both massive disasters in the making when it comes to the final product. And they could pull them off. Both have the potential to be good. They should be good. They should be good in the sense of there's the money and there's the legacy behind it to make it work. The problem is, are they going to allow that legacy and allow the creative people to both be smart creative? Because there's two types of creative. Just because here, I'll say this one part. Just because you're saying something's creative doesn't mean it's automatically good. There's that balance between creative freedom and end product.
I would say I would put a lot of just to that portion, at least to you, like I would put a lot of either modern art or sometimes like abstract art in that view, because people look and they go, oh, like I always like to look at I think it's the picture that's just like the vertical line on a white background, and it's like, well, this is that, and it's like I've always had this idea that I'd love to go to someone and pretend that I knew about this artist and go, actually, it was supposed to be a horizontal line and not a vertical line, and just people are stupid and put it that way, just to see who would change it, because it's like, sometimes, and this will kind of bringing me back to my bigger part too. It's like sometimes something can be a masterpiece because it's a one-off, and that's exactly the point. It breaks a whole new ground. It changes something. But I think both to Avatar, for what they did with, even I think in some ways what they did with Legend of Korra, and then what's been going on with Halo is, like you were saying at the beginning of this, Fox, that how many times can you recreate a masterpiece by using the same metric before it's no longer a masterpiece? Like if Da Vinci painted 6 different versions of the Mona Lisa with maybe varying different backgrounds and different shades, would they all still be the same masterpiece? At that point, or is there a point where something is
at it? I'm looking at both at
can you capture lightning in a bottle again?
Yeah, no, you bring up an excellent kind of segue into it. You took it a little different way than I was thinking, but at the same time, it adds an extra layer to it, where I'm viewing it through the area of just repeating and copying and reusing the same material. But
and that's kind of my point, because they have a formula that they think is a masterpiece, and they redo it, and they expect the same results. And I think that there's always an X factor to something that, at least in the sense of, you can still make it good, but can you always say like, oh, this is the next groundbreaking? And I think to your point when you're talking about legacies, I think it's sometimes a double-edged sword because of that, because sometimes they think the legacy is going to carry them in a way that
Yeah.
Because it's like, guess what? Legacy counts for snot when the final product's out. Like, guess what? Like, there's a portion of it that you'll have the fans, like like you say, I think what your stand-ins, the stand-in fans, that no matter what, if it has the Halo name on it, you're going for it. If it has the Avatar name on it, you're going for it. If it has the Star Trek name on it, you're going for it.
Right.
But then there's those
about
people
a
who want
10% to 15% of the fan base of general fan. I think the largers are about 10-15%, I believe. This is my opinion on it. This is no science. I just feel like that's the side of it that always will watch it. Always will play it,
I will admit that there's always, there is a little bit of that. I do find some honest criticism from the fan base when it's like, you know what, you don't like it if they went this way and you wouldn't like it if they went the other way too. And sometimes there's a little bit of that I can say is an honest thing for any fandom. But again, if you're telling the people, well, we're going to capture the same lightning in a bottle and give it to you, and then we don't see the same lightning in a bottle given to us, we're going to criticize you. So if you're saying you were giving me the same masterpiece at a level of Avatar, then we're still going to, then if that's the case, then it's like, then I better expect it again. If I don't, I'm going to give you a hard time. And a lot of these times, then what gets to me, I don't know as much of the Avatar people have done this, but it's like, from my view, like Stargate, they come up with universe and then they go, well, you fans just don't get it. No, we're the fans that made it big.
Right. Well, and that's kind of, that's when producers and writers kind of take critique, and instead of acknowledging that maybe they didn't hit the mark with that work, that doesn't inherently make everyone else wrong. And I think the element of that too that we struggle with is adaptations are tricky, right? And so when you have a show as Avatar that has a pre-created universe, the first question, and this goes actually even for Cowboy Bebop too, in that show that they're working on by Netflix, so it kind of falls into the same ground, which is how true are you staying to the original material, right? Your first question you're starting out is, are we doing a direct sequel or a direct remake, like almost a shot-for-shot remake, or are we taking the general storyline and completely reworking it? So that's your first question. And that's what we don't. I'd love to be a fly on the wall, because obviously the show creators left. That's the big news, right? They left. They said it's a disaster. It's a negative environment. Now, granted, the question I have is who are pulling the strings on the shows, because they are supposed to be the showrunner and executive producers. So
if
where
was
the control? Who was in there? They're like, we can't get rid of these people. Who wasn't on their story team that was like, these ideas are bad? Because to me, there's they were saying kind of essentially irreparable differences was kind of the end result of not wanting to do it,
which is a catch-all.
Yeah, it is.
Phrase.
And it kind of falls into is, what was Netflix saying that whatever high-level people were saying, what were the hard must-dos? So what were things that were required no matter what? And I think that's, to me, is probably the biggest question, is what are things that were maybe changes to the story? Because there's one that I would accept. To me, there's one element that I would push for if I was a producer on the show. If I was doing the show, and they're like, okay, what's the first thing we're going to change on this? And the first thing I would say is, we have to age the characters up. The characters have to be older. Aang needs to be about 16 to 17. Katara and Sokka need to be about 18 or 19, and Zuko needs to be in that same range too. They could all be 16. They all need between 16 and 19 years old. Zuko could even be early 20s, 20 years old or so. And the reason for that is the characters, it comes down to how characters in the cartoon can look young. Anime does this all the time. They have characters that are way below what they are, dealing with way bigger issues than what they are. We talk about the assassination classroom, where they're like middle school and they're taking down like essentially like full-grown men that are in the military.
Right.
It just doesn't work that way. And so, but it's more believable when the characters are kind of, I wouldn't go quite this far, but a good example is, remember the Titans, where those guys, they probably look older than me now. I haven't watched the movie in a couple of years.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But, I remember watching that, and you're like, man, it's been crazy in high school, and we look like that. And then you go into high school and you go, who were those guys? And you're like, they're supposed to be like
it's funny.
16 years
It's funny
old.
you say that. It's funny you say that, because I did just see on Facebook there was a post that said, looking back and realizing the first time I watched Grease as a kid and thought these guys were actually high schoolers, when it's all, it's like an old Tom Pesci and Danny DeVito, or not. I can't think of his name at the moment, but the main guy from John Travolta.
Right,
It's
right.
like, and they go, yeah, when you thought those were high schoolers, or even for us,
Right.
like Smallville. Tom Welling was the same age as
10
Brandon
years
Roth,
older.
who played him. It's like, and you're sitting there going, like, oh
Right.
yeah, and they played high schoolers. Whoa.
Well, and an example I would use is, like, I'm not saying I'd want him to play the role, but you need to find someone like a Tom Welling from
who can look young
Spider-Man.
based off of a haircut and kind of Tom
Yeah,
Holland.
Tom Holland. Sorry, not Holland. Yeah, Tom Holland, like Spider-Man, the guy who's playing Spider-Man currently. He's in his early 20s. He has that energy still. If he shaved his head 3 years ago when he was, a little bit younger,
he would
could
look
play
fine.
that kind of character. Yeah, he would play that character. Now, not saying you shouldn't have whatever actor play it by ethnicity, et cetera, et cetera. But it's that kind of vibe
Has that been
I'm
an
talking
issue?
about.
Was that one of the issues that was mentioned, was whitewashing? I didn't know if that was like, I saw
don't think
something.
anyone
I
had-
didn't know if that was just someone's comment, or
No, I
if
don't
that
think
has
it's
been
an
something that
issue.
there's. Okay.
That would be because that's part of the story. It's one of those ones that you wouldn't want to whitewash it, because you kind of have each nation kind of fits into its own. I always kind of view the Fire Nation as kind of a European style look, like a Eastern European, and you had like your general kind of.
Well, I
like
honestly, I've always
Inuit
kind of thought
style,
of, if,
you had
to be honest,
you kind of Japanese. I think was supposed to be like.
I've always kind of assumed that the
Bossing say.
I would almost say that the I don't know. I'd almost go like this. I'd almost say that Japan was kind of the Fire Nation. Actually, I
that
think
could
would
be
probably
too.
be the most apt, and I'd almost say that China, in that sense, would have been bossing, say, the Earth Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Hindu or Buddhism would clearly be for the air nomads.
Yes.
And then the water tribe, like you said, then kind of more that Inuit.
Yeah, and again, I have no, as long as
And
the
that makes
story's
sense.
good.
To me, that's like I have no problem. Like I said, and I agree, because that's when I did hear that they were talking about whitewashing again. I'm like, why are you guys doing this? Please don't do this again to something else. Like, it was one of the things that killed me about. It was one of the things that killed me about when they did Death Note live action, and then they were like, well, now he's just a white American kid, and I'm like, why would you destroy? Like, why would you complete? To your point, they had that discussion at a meeting board and said, are we following the shot for shot, or are we making our own thing? If you're making your own thing, then you shouldn't have called it Death Note. Because you didn't even go anywhere near the source
actually, Death
material
Note's a
on
good
that one.
example of doing your own story with the characters. However, it's a good example of doing something different,
done.
but badly done. And that's where I'm concerned they're gonna do with Avatar. Actually, Death Note.
That was very much half measures on how they did it, because it's like they wanted to partially do it, but they didn't fully jump into saying we're doing our whole own story.
Well,
they just omitted parts where they're like,
misunderstand it.
oh well, we got to cut this
Yeah.
down to be a movie. Is really what it came down to, and that's how they changed it,
I feel like,
in my opinion.
I feel like Death Note's pretty translated. Well, maybe not one movie, the full series, but I feel like
I think it'd be a good.
translational
I think
parts to
I think it's a good mini series. I think Death Note would have been a
Yes,
good, like,
yes.
if you did like a 5-part mini series of those as something.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. That's what some of these people need to think about Netflix, and that's like, don't try to do something as a movie off. Like, I don't think I think people are okay with the mini series type thing. I think that's a model of product and viewing that I think more people would enjoy.
Yeah.
If it's like, you know what, if you're gonna give me 10 episodes or 5, because I mean, especially at this point where certain the normal length season stuff is 10 episodes, give me a mini series of something that's just really condensed and
here's a
impactful
great
in 5,
example,
and
Sherlock.
I'll enjoy that sucker.
Here's a great example: Sherlock, right? 3 to 4 episode seasons. I forget exactly if it was 3 or 4.
2 hour
3 or
long.
4, and they're almost 2 hours long. A show like Avatar would translate good in that. So let's say 3 seasons of 3 to 4 episodes that are 2 hours long each, 90 minutes, 100-minute long episodes. That would actually be pretty close to the actual running time of the show, I think.
Probably.
In the sense of what it would be. You could even do, like I said, 4 2-hour episodes, essentially 4 little mini movies. There's different ways to break it down. I don't know if there's a right answer on that one. It comes down to the structure and how you want to push the story, and you want to keep it more, like I said, adjusting some of the tweaks and, like I said, the show.
I just think that sometimes for translation of animes, the idea of trying to get into one movie or anything, in general, I think anything from a series to a movie, it's like, you really have to break what the source material is if you're going to do it in that way, and then it already sets you off, I think, on the wrong foot or a tougher foot. You're getting one hand put behind your back because no matter what, then you're saying I have to change stuff, which means I already know I'm stepping in the danger zone for any audience.
Correct.
Because if they know what the original one is, they're expecting something close, unless you come out from the beginning and say, hey, this is a whole different experience. Even though it's based off the same thing.
To me, the biggest thing that needs to be adjusted on that kind of stuff is usually time frames. So, again, the other thing I would have changed in Avatar would be it's not 1 summer, it's 3 years, essentially. Like the comet's coming in 3 years. Instead of 3 months type element. That would give him more time to train. That allowed the story to be a little more expansive in the feel of it. Allow them to shoot the movie over over 2 years, let's say. Kind of do Lord of the Rings style, shoot it in over a year, and produce them as they're coming out, that kind of stuff. That's how I'd probably do it. But again,
and I understand why you're saying it, and I guess I can already say though, as like, I understand why you're saying it. I know you're coming from a good place from it, but already even as a kind of like thinking as an audience member, there's a kind of part of me that goes, like, I don't want it to be spread out for 3 years. And maybe my also thought is, then I feel like there's not as much of a conflict, because then you're waiting 3 years for this all to happen, where there's kind of something more said about this needs to happen in 3 months. Like, so there is a more impending doom. But like I said, that comes down to good writing then. So you're making sure that if you're making it 3 years, that there's still that feel of true. And at that point, you could have a stronger Bossing Say attack.
Well,
the Fire Nation attacking could be a far bigger thing. Those arcs could be extended.
Well, and where I would say is the ending of each arc, you also would put more time for the training in that, where they're like, oh, they're down there, because then you think about in the show.
That's true. Like he learns waterbending quick. Like
he learns the waterbending in 2 episodes. He's been learning it slowly, but essentially he learns the full technique in 2.5 episodes, 3 episodes, and they're down there for a couple days. And they're able to mobilize the entire Fire Nation fleet of hundreds of ships down there. There's some logistical things that you could easily... Where that might take 2 weeks. And again, maybe it's a year and a half or something like that. I would just say you would start actually putting the time into looking logistically, so that you have that... Still want to keep that level of... Because again, we don't have a rush of timelines until later in the show. Because the beginning was, I just needed to fight the Fire Lord. Cool, we need to defeat him. He's a big threat. But it's not until they get into the library when they discover that, Solstice. We learned that Solstice is a comet, and then we have the two different time push, which is the comet and the solstice, so the moon, so the depower and up power. So they're depowered. So those are the kind of the pushes in the timeline. And those are those things that would be probably like into movie 1. Let's say we're doing 3 movies. Into movie 1 type things going, oh, crap, we can do that. Oh, crap, we have them escalation coming in. We can't just sit on our butt.
Well, I'd almost, because there'd be a part of me that I would say if I did it in a movie, I'd find the revelation of maybe that such to be the end of the first movie, or kind of midway through it. The second movie obviously ending with the failure of the Black
and that's
Sun.
Why you have to. That's what I'm saying. You would.
And then the final episode could be trying to recreate or reassemble after this massive defeat, and then the true oh crap again. Because then you can make it great. The third movie would be, we thought the Day of Black Sun was really our moment, and now we really are on the bottom step, which would have been exactly where Star Wars was trying to be, where they redid everything and they did it wrong.
Well, that's the part where the part is set up really nicely, and like I said, in the show is that the end of the show is Zuko choosing the wrong path, Aang being disabled, possibly dead, right, and somewhat dead, and you have the essentially defeat and a capture of a large portion of the army, and so that's where your movie 2 ends. Like that makes a nice tight ending. You're cliffhanger ending, everyone's in trouble, nothing's going your way. And then you have you're kind of, even the show, it kind of jumps ahead of a month, because Aang has hair. At that point, Aang has enough hair, so it's probably like a month he was out. I don't know if they say how long he was out.
Yeah, they never. I don't know how long they actually say.
But we know it's not too long.
You kind of ask a few questions now, considering there was only time frame. There wasn't much of a time frame to go through things.
Well, you know, and that's happened in shows because you're not thinking about it. You're not, when you're developing stuff, you have timelines and you're, oh, we added some time to it, and then you realize, crap, you know, and that's where
we said this was only like 6 months long, and oh, wait a minute. I mean, just in general. I mean, the simple fact that they fly around the entire world on Appa in whatever months they need to get everything finished is movie magic.
Yeah. I mean, and we, you know, again, we're not trying to nitpick the show. We love the show.
I'm not. No,
it's just when you start translating. I think when you translate to a movie, though, when you know, over 3 seasons, you're not so much watching those at the exact same time. Now we binge watch stuff, so you see those things a little easier. When you're watching a show over 4 years, watching that show, you're not like, oh, wait a second, that one episode 3 episodes back, which was half an hour to me, which, you know, there's little things that you if you're trying to break down dates. I mean, that's like shows. I mean, that happens all the time, first of all. So like I said, it's not like a trick. I mean, watch movies when it goes from day to night. People will literally walk into a room. It'll be bright sun, noontime day. They'll have a conversation and walk out in the dark. Constantly happens in movies and TV shows. Watch it happen all the time. So it's to times relative in movies.
And then I also say too that kind of brings a good point. Like if you were saying you're doing a show for X amount of years, and let's say let's say you're doing 3 seasons worth of a show, and you were saying you were going to stay true to it as a live action show and pick the same age ranges, you're going to have to find a new angle almost every season. Because if you were starting a 12-year-old, a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old can have a huge difference in how he looks, and especially then when he gets to 14 or 15. Like every single one of those characters, if you were honestly to keep them, it's like you would have to do a lot, because that's that transformative age where a kid's going to look like a kid, or then they're going to look like an adult the next day, and you kind of go, holy wow, you know, just did on my own. There was a new picture of Barron Trump walking out of Air Force One with President Trump, and he's towering over his dad now.
Oh, that's
the
funny.
president, and it's like, oh wow, and you're like, and it's like, I think he's only 14, and it's like, well, you're gonna admit it. The last time I saw him was before the quarantine, and he didn't look that tall, and he comes back. So like I said, the same thing for these kind of actors. If you went through 3 years and you're saying these are all the 15, 14, 12 around age, they are going to change tremendously in those few seasons, and that would be difficult to keep that casting, in my opinion.
Oh, no.
Like I said, I understand they can try to change some younging stuff to that, but
they do it all the time.
Voice-wise, but even voice-wise and stuff like that, there might be that big old change that can happen during that time frame.
And that's why I was saying film.
You know, it's the moment like, hi,
segment.
I'm able to play Aang, and the next day, all right, I'm still able to play Aang. No, you're kind of more of Toph now.
Well,
like, you know.
Right. So, going back to the main part, Brian and Michael left the show. They pretty much said they're effing the show up. It's a disaster. And it sounds like it's going to be. So, you know, cheers to the death of another Netflix live action show / another amazing show. Probably going to be terrible. All right. Please be good. You know, like I said, please, I wish you guys, I hope this, if does anything, leads to people listening to what should happen to the show and it be done correctly. Moving to topic number 2, Halo. Halo is one of the great, I mean, it's probably, in some levels, saved the Xbox. I would say. I think you can make an argument that it's the only reason people buy the Xbox. I know that's not completely true, but you can make an argument.
But it's a huge portion.
That's a huge portion of why I think it's the only reason why you bought one, I think, at one point. Maybe the 360.
The only reason I continued on for the Xbox One was because of Halo, because it just, I liked Halo, and you know, I always want to finish those games.
Actually, I think that your shirt, is that a Halo shirt right now?
It is. I am wearing my Halo shirt today. It's my UNSC shirt.
He is shilling hard for Halo.
Yeah, but this was back from like the Reach time frame when everything was still like keen and clean and beautiful.
So you are more in touch with Halo than I am. I haven't played Halo 5. I heard it wasn't very great. I've heard mixed thoughts on it. And
story-wise, it's kind of crap. Story-wise was a bad choice in general. Yeah.
And what's crazy is I believe Halo 5 came out in 2015.
Is that how old this sucker is at this point? I was just wondering myself.
I think 2015. Let me double check here. Halo. So the first Halo came out in 2001. Wow.
Yep.
That's And oh, come on, why not just take me to the main? Come on, internet. Let's see.
Was it really that long ago?
So let's see. Halo.
it's just.
Wow, my mouse just doesn't want to go.
19 years
5.
enjoying the life of it.
So Halo 5 was released in October 25th, 27th, 2015. So it's almost not quite
5 years.
What? That's 4 years.
I mean, pretty much.
No, wait, that's 5 years. Yeah,
that's almost 5 years.
Yeah, almost 5 years. So they've had a long time to put it together, and they've had a long time. Here's the thing that I struggle with. They've had a long time to watch the video game space shift. In the last 5 years has been a huge shift from single player stuff to more online multiplayer with live services. And we've seen the disaster of that. Number one example, Anthem, the show, the movie, the game that will never, ever come back out. I still say that. You hear me say it all the time. I'm still saying no, it's not happening. Their team of, I think I heard they have 30 or 40 people working on it, which I think usually a game has like hundreds of people I think on it or something like that in that nature. I don't think it's ever. I think with the pandemic and everything, that's just gonna fade away. And they're like, nope, never happening unless they reboot it and change the name and make you pay for it. And again, I've always said the caveat: if they make you pay for it again, it's not a next. That's not a next. That's called a microtransaction, macro transaction to get more money out of you for the game that was never finished in the first place. So you have your biggest example of a disaster, which is Anthem. Like I said, we showed about 2 months ago that literally no one plays the game. No one even cares about it. It's so dead that I don't think no one even talks about how dead it is. It's so dead that everyone forgets it even exists.
Yeah, it is gone. There's no public record of that game. I mean, yeah, it's out of the conscious.
Then you have your second example, which is Destiny, which I would say is a conflicted game. You have your dedicated players for it. You have people like me who haven't booted it up for almost a year since I played Forsaken, I think, on it. I just refuse to buy these quarterly membership packs on it. I just refuse to spend I think at this point you spend $350 on the game now or something like that. I'm not sure exactly what you spend, but that's ridiculous to me just to play the game. I'll probably buy the new one coming out, maybe if it's good, and play it because I enjoy the story part of the game. I actually enjoy watching some guys like My Name Is Bife and some other guys who are big lore guys talk about the lore of the game, because the lore of the game is actually really cool and there's a lot of really cool stuff in it.
Extremely interesting, actually. Like that's
some of the dynamics. Yeah, they've done a great job writing it. It's just too bad a lot doesn't show up in the actual story of the game.
Here's what I'd almost say about it, Fox, is there's the two types of people who play Destiny, there's the two types. You have the people who always have 6 people to jump on a raid at any time frame because they always got their friends ready, and then you have the people who don't have that and they go, I'm missing half of the game because I can't do a raid.
Yep. Nope.
And that was always my issue. That's always been my issue, is the fact that half the game is missing to me because I can't do those special big things. Because, I mean, I have a few friends who do have it and we try, but then they're on at like 2 o'clock at night, and I'm like, I can't do that. I got to work the next morning. Well, so it's like, for me, I'm like, I'm losing the game.
The raids are long. I mean, I think the only raid that I think I've ever successfully finished was Vaulted Glass.
Yeah.
Yep. That was the only one I think I was able to play with some people that
I think I actually got through this. I think I got through this. No, I think I got through Crota.
Oh yeah, I did that one too.
That was the only. That's the only one I've actually been able to finish, because before everyone was beating Vaulted Glass through that cheap way of pushing the thing off the edge, and then Destiny got rid of that. And then no one was beating it anymore, and that's when I was finally like, hey, I'm able to jump on. I'm not working at 10 o'clock at night because I'm no longer at Kohl's or something. So let me jump on. Then it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, dude, I got to get up in 3.
And that was the other thing too, is that I think they're finally bringing crossplay into it, so I can play with like you on Xbox, and I can play my PS4, and you can play on it. That's gonna be
goodness.
Whenever that comes out, that'll be a big thing, because I have a couple people I could play with on occasion. They just happen to be on different consoles. And the other thing too is they've turned the game into a grind fest. And
Yeah.
I don't want to do bounties all the time. I have no desire to do bounties. And I don't begrudge anybody who wants to spend time on it. I just don't have the time, nor do I want to force myself to have the time to put hundreds of hours into the game. I like playing games for max out at 100 hours maybe. And I don't want the grind for these god roll weapons constantly. Again, that's me.
And especially then, since they never are really god level weapons because something's changing, or then they're
the meta changes constantly. Yeah, and now they're doing things like they're doing the sunsetting thing where everyone who has god roll weapons anyway. That by the next DLC doesn't really matter. It's gonna be a whole new game anyway with the levels, and so that's why for me is exactly that. I just don't care enough to play the game in that way. So it's a cool game. Again, I like the combat. The shooting in it is great. I like the premise of Destiny. I think it's great. However, they have failed. They have failed with the live service. The live service has failed. And to me, the reason I'm bringing up Destiny and Anthem is both those were 10-year plans for the life cycle of it. And right now, Halo Infinite is doing the same. Sometimes I go, why are you using the same wording? Like, not to say you have a 5-year plan right now and you have this plan, or why are you saying the exact same headline of, we have a 10-year plan? I don't know why all of a sudden this 10-year plan is just a round number and it sounds good. Sometimes
why don't they pick something good like 38? It's underused.
We have a 20-year plan, guys. We have really thought this out. I don't know. So what happened was, I'm sure most of you know, essentially they released the demo footage and everyone's like, what? Why does this look so bad on your new Xbox One XX stupidity name? Insert here chart. Stupid Microsoft doesn't know how to name stuff. Xbox Series, and everyone's like, I think you guys got your name confused and you're using the wrong Xbox to play the game because it looks like crap and it doesn't look very good, and everyone was all bummed out. And all of a sudden, Halo said, or Microsoft, or 343 said, well, we're going to push the game off indefinitely. Or, at least till next year, I think. I think they said next year. So we don't know how far that is. And again, short term, if it's in the next 6 months, that's only polishing. That's polishing and fine-tuned tweaks. If they say they're going to delay it for 2 years, that's actually a rework on maybe the game. But I have a feeling that pretty much most is set in stone, and that whatever's going to be changed is tune-up. Some polishing on everything. There's not going to be a rework on the game. And I think that I think Halo's in trouble. I don't know why with 5 years to plan it out. Look here, I got this article here. Halo's turbulent journey. Why do they have a turbulent journey? Why it sounds like to me rebuild near everything Halo. Why is this called? This new engine called Slit Space. They created this all new, brand new game engine. All these new things, and to me, it goes in the area of why do people play Halo? It's because of the story. It's because the characters you fall in love. Master Chief, Cortana. I mean, Cortana is such a legendary character. That's what Microsoft named their voice assistant after. I mean, I'm sure how many people out there are like, why is it named Cortana? And they're like, oh no, that's the character from Halo that freaking is probably the number one video game waifu out there, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know other video game waifus, but I'll be we joke about the anime waifus and stuff. But I think
all the rest here's the thing, all the rest of them tell you that all the rest of them get stolen, and then they're not in the castle that you're looking for. So everybody else can go away. Because most other women in them, they're like, he's not at this castle. Go over there. Okay, Cortana's with me the whole time.
Right. Yeah, no, well, and that's where, because Cortana's still in limbo kind of as a character. So they better not kill, again, people think that they're going to kill Master Chief and or kill Cortana legitimately full time. And I'm like, no, you cannot kill the, why do you guys want to keep killing
if you do that, if you do that, you are effectively ending then Halo. No fan is going to sit there. Here's the thing. If there's a natural, there's been Halo games that you weren't playing as Master Chief. Fine. You have Halo Reach, you're not playing as Master Chief, you're playing as other Spartans. You have Halo ODST, you're one of the shock drop, the troopers, the drop troopers. And that's not a problem because I actually do enjoy both of those games. Maybe Halo 3 ODST not as much as Reach. I really love Reach as what the game is, again, because it's another great storyline and feeling. And I think that was the first one that was actually the collaboration between 343 and Bungie together was actually Reach. Which
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that sounds right.
Which really kind of hurts so much knowing that 343 went from making, working together with Bungie to make Reach, which was, I think, personally one of the pinnacles. I think great game. Then Halo 4 came out under 343, which was a wonderful game. I think the only thing I would call out is I hate the stupid button mash at the end of Halo 4 to just button, because like how it ends with just, I'm never a fan of you get to walk up and then there's some prompt on a half cut scene. Like that's just never my way. I like to end a game. It just takes away everything at the end. If it's like it's the ultimate enemy, battle, button mash X B Y, and make sure you click them on time. And I'm like, what? This is a shooting game. Like, what am I doing at the end of here?
You're like, that's worse than a bullet sponge final villain type thing.
It's so bad. Yeah, it is. It's like I would rather at least take the bullet sponge. So it's like typical Halo fashion of just
I feel like I'm shooting the thing. Yeah,
I'm just gonna go. But yeah, at the end it's just click the right trigger to defuse the nuke after Cortana stops him, and you're kind of like, well, I feel a little bit stolen from. But then you get to 5 and it goes, and then I don't know where they lost the heart of Halo, especially with Halo 4, how it ended with, first off, one of the most beautiful songs I think that's ever been, like, other than some of the original Halo stuff, but the blue and green song from Halo 4 that plays, which is just, I mean, that thing will bring me to tears on certain days of what it is there, but it's that playing part where, Cortana's talking, and then you have this great moment of him going, like, when he's talking to Lassie going, she said that once to me about being a machine, and you have this final beautiful moment where you're finally really getting to see something happen between Cortana and Chief, and I don't mean in, like, just necessarily romantic, but it's just like,
Yeah, Halo
got that build up.
Oh
man, I love that. I love that song. That song to me is probably one of my favorites.
Like metal guitar music and orchestra stuff is just top tier. They did do a good job.
Oh, they did. They did such an amazing job.
So the problem that we're seeing again, that's what we see, if we feel like these pillars of the media, kind of the full wraparound, is we feel like the pillars of these mediums that are big, long, like I said, early 2000s. Both these shows are early 2000s. These shows and games have been around for almost 20 years, give or take some. And what we're seeing is this like giant cluster of collapse on it, where they've lost their identity of what they are, like you said. And the really sad part is why and where they go from here. Because these things can only for so long collapse in on themselves. So, like I said, Halo 5, not very well received. Now we have Infinite, which is 5 years later, which means we won't have and they've already said they have no plans for another Halo for 10 years. So the question comes into, what happens if this game doesn't do very well? What if the reception is bad? Because a live service game, unfortunately, is code for, we give you half of the game finished at the start, and then we fix it for the next 5 years. And then we give you the second massive installment that's halfway done, and then we fix that for the next 5 years. And so all you get is a game that's being fixed essentially for 10 years. That's what Halo is. That's what Destiny's been. Essentially fixing a game for 10 years and breaking it and fixing it and breaking it and fixing it. I mean,
right
now we're at year 7 on Halo. Not Halo, sorry. On Destiny. I think we're around 6 or 7 years in now.
What, did it come out in 2010?
No, I think it came out in 2014, I think.
The original Destiny? Yeah, I guess you're right. What was it?
Oop.
2014, and then 2018 was Destiny 2.
Destiny 1. So Destiny... No, that's not right.
Oh,
so that had to be Destiny 1 release. Destiny 1. I can't spell. That happens when I have sake. Why is it not showing Destiny release?
Probably then 2015. I think
I
it
feel
was
like
about
that's
2
even
years.
Too soon. 2014. So September 2014.
Okay.
So, now it's almost on. Well, really, it's almost on year 7 then. Well, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, 6 years. So 6 years in, and they're still fixing the game. So the kind of the sum of it is, why does this keep happening? Why does these giant kind of, again, these are pillars of the culture, right? These are kind of like Halo's a cultural pillar. Even people who don't know what don't play video games probably know what Halo is, right? Even people who never watched Avatar have heard of Avatar, and they keep coming back and going, we need to keep milking it, keep bringing it back, and all we're getting is subpar, unfinished material. And again, there are two different examples of this, but they're continuous examples of this. The with Halo, where we keep having issues with the game, where they're just kind of broken, like there's no real goal or end result that you're like, why does this feel wrong? Why is the work? Because I feel like the problem with that too, I guarantee there's brilliant people behind the scenes working at this. Like example, people are complaining about the guns, right? They're like, the guns are wrong. Why are the guns so broken? Why do they look wrong? To me, I'm like, wait a second. Why are the guns wrong? Like,
yeah.
Why? Well, if you're gonna update things, update them. But why is it like, oh, these look worse than the old guns? Why is that kind of these things happening with it? And then you have things like Avatar where it's already a completed material, and they keep coming back and remaking it, and you're like, okay, we keep getting remakes. We live in a world of remakes. There's so few things that aren't a remake right now, or a direct adaptation of something that's already been done. And you're like, I want something original. That's why everyone's excited for Halo. I think that's why everyone's excited for Halo 5. Halo 6 Infinite, whatever you want to call it. Halo Infinite, because they're like, oh, Halo, something new. There's new content. There's something new to it. And then you get this like highly level potential. Yeah, you're like, oh, it's going to go down this same boring road, brokenness. They're focusing on the live service over story. They're more worried about selling you the next DLC, more worried about selling you the next microtransaction than selling you a full, complete story. And I think that's what's sad, because
I would, yeah, I agree. I think it, in my opinion, I think it goes back to what I was saying from the beginning. I think some of these people have the legacy issue, because of where they think they stand, and I think that they think that, again, I think that they said, someone created a masterpiece. I have all of those same parts. Let me put it together in a different, configuration, and I'm still going to have a masterpiece. And it's just not truth. That is not the truthful way to make, like, I don't care if you could put together, I can even put it in this way. And, and this is no bash to those people, but it's like, there's a lot of the same people who did Lord of the Rings who then came back and did The Hobbit. I love Lord of the Rings. The Hobbit isn't the same.
No.
And I don't think it ever could be.
Good.
And it's like, and like I said, but that's some of the same people with now maybe even years more of experience. But again, there also came down to a simple factor of the time and the energy that they put into making Lord of the Rings they just didn't repeat that again. And I think that's the same thing that happens for some of these games. Is you might have the same people, you might have the same thing on there, you might have the same elements and everything else, but there is a factor, there's a human factor and an X factor, that you hear about that's going to create something different. I think that moment of being, when you watch all the special effects features for Lord of the Rings, and you hear how, I think they were saying, by the end of doing Lord of the Rings 3, they had more shots than the first two movies combined of special effects shots they were trying to get done in like the last 5 weeks. I mean, and it's like you hear this stuff and they go, we thought we weren't going to make it. Like, this was crazy. And you hear these things and you go, you know what? But that added to this finished product because it was amazing, because you guys put your heart and soul into it. And I don't think that you just get to repeat that process, bring all the same stuff together, and just make that happen like magic. It is in the sense that it's just not going to happen because you put all the same elements together. I think that the sum of all the parts sometimes can be more than the whole, depending on other factors, and you can't just recreate that every time. And this idea that they think, well, let me give them the basics, because I think I almost wonder if at this point they're like, well, we know everyone loves our Halo, basic stuff, so now we'll just add some extra stuff to make it cool. And it's like, but people aren't being happy still with what the basic quote unquote Halo stuff is, because you haven't even kept up with that.
And they've acknowledged they're cutting stuff out, like it won't have things at the opening of the game, certain game modes and stuff like that. And interesting enough, I just saw this when I was popping it through. So Halo Infinite budget is rumored to be $500 million, so $500 million, which is massive. And I was like, well, what are comparable games? And you look at like development costs for Halo 2, which is 2004 still, right? Let's just say we know even doubling, right? You're at $80 million. Like the most expensive game they show on here is called Modern Warfare 2 at 2009 at $200 million or $50 million to develop, and then what's the most in develop? Star Citizen, that's not even done yet.
And you're saying that this was $550 million.
They're saying that rumored $500 million to make. So this would be the most expensive game by like double, triple on most games. And so I'm going, why is it?
And it doesn't. And right now it doesn't look good.
Right. Why? Where's this money?
Like what the heck are you doing?
Where's the money going?
Because especially for Halo, to say that you're going to get a bad looking Halo game, I mean, that's pretty bad. To hear like if someone came out and said, "Man, this Halo looked like crap," I'd be like, "Wait, you just told me a Halo game looked bad?" Like, well, and what do you think? I would be so dumbfounded.
Here's the thing: that game is supposed to be playing on the newest console from Xbox, right? This is supposed to be
so that thing should just look sells the newest console.
Yeah, this thing should be almost crashing the console with quality, not
right.
Oh, did they render? Like I said, did they grab the wrong console and play on the Xbox 360?
Did they even put shadowing behind that guy? Is there texture on that?
Where's the ray tracing, guys? Yeah,
man. Why does this look worse than Halo 1 non-anniversary version of it?
Correct. And so that's again, I don't understand what's happening. So the
pride,
I think both,
arrogance.
So we have two things. We won't know about Avatar for another couple of years. Probably another year and a half, 2 years before we see that come to fruition. Because they haven't even started filming that. They're still in pre-development. So I doubt that we'll see that anytime soon. Halo will know sooner than later. Halo will know probably by end of next year. So within the year, I'd say we're going to know what's going on with that. And I suspect that's going to end up releasing as a bit of a letdown, buggy mess. A bit of I'd say it's going to be very similar to Destiny 2 release, where there's a okay mission, and then they're going to try to focus so much on the post-game content. And the thing about it, no one needs that. People played multiplayer Halo for billions of hours probably on it. They didn't need billions of hours of in-game content. They just want good stories. Do a good story. Make the gameplay and fun with lots of variations, and they're going to play it. And then when you do a DLC 6 months later, a year later, make it huge, make it worth their time, and they're going to come back and spend the next $30.
Or one of the things that they actually had, and they didn't continue on, which kind of pissed me off for Halo 4, was they had there was these what was it? I think it was like the Halo 4 strike missions. So you're playing as some of the I think it was like the Infinity's like Spartans kind of doing some extra missions, and they had like 10 missions of it that you could go on, and they can kind of continue on. And they said that originally there was going to be seasons, and they did season 1, and then there was nothing after that. and then it was like the whatever, wait till Halo 5 to get that crap. And I'm like,
right.
So like you said, and I totally agree with you, especially for Halo to break the like in some ways break like certain formulas. Like I said, you can recreate and still do great things with them. The Halo had great formula because it had amazing storyline that had its different difficulty levels. And here's the thing: everyone always loves playing Halo and trying to beat it on Legendary.
Right. Well,
I mean, like that's one of those games because, like, other games you get to it and you beat it on your normal, or you beat it on like Get Bruised or something like that. It's like, the intermediary, a little bit extra tough, and you're like, man, okay. And then you look at the one that says like, you'll die, and you go, I'm not touching that. Halo fans always go, yeah, Let's do it. Let's beat it legendary with all skulls on because we are masochists and we hate ourselves and we want to sit.
We are
Because we want to sit on.
and we will destroy you.
Like, I mean, I don't know about you, Joel, but I know like Philip and I redoing all the Halo 2 when they did the anniversary of it, which makes it looks beautiful. I mean, Halo 2 right now is the most beautiful looking game.
I haven't played Halo in years. Again, I love the
Halo 2
universe,
anniversary.
But I haven't played it for a long time.
If you came back and played one of them, because I had the Master Chief Collection that came with my Xbox, which again, Xbox.
Well, if I knew which Xbox to pick, but the names confuse me, so I probably buy the wrong one.
Yeah, you know which one. But the Halo, even just looking it up, the Halo 2 anniversary, like how it looks, it was on par with Halo 5. It looks just as good as what Halo 5 did, and it's Halo 2, which is probably the best. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, Halo 2 is great. Especially with the whole like grave mine elements to it, and you're playing as
Arbiter,
both characters.
The Arbiter
and
fights,
really,
the Halo.
Yeah, it develops those characters, allows them to have some life to them, which was pretty fun.
Yeah, so so for me, it's like for them to want to break that idea of they always having amazing stories, and like you said, then you had your basic online multiplayer go and screw around, or the simple fact that you could say, hey, like some of the later ones where they said, hey, you can actually play as like 2 players playing the campaign or more players playing the campaign. It's like, man, that's what you just need to do. Like that in most people is all they need. I don't need this extra fancy doodad kind of stuff for my Halo. Like just let me shoot elites and grunts. And let me go through a storyline that makes me feel something about, and gives me those moments that, like when you hear the original developers when they talk about Halo 1, they're like, what was that? We wanted this cue of music and theme and what was going on to just give the players like this ultimate experience. And it's true. It's like that first time when you walk into, the first time you're running through, you hear the dun-dun-dun-dun, you're running and you're shooting, or, flying through in the Banshees in Halo 1 where you're flying over like the Iceland area. It's all like the kind of the sad music as you're flying through and trying to take everything out, or the first time you run into a hunter and you hear the music theme for the hunters and you're screaming because you're losing it. And it's like that's the stuff that people wanted. And that's the stuff you're not giving anymore. That's the stuff you're not paying attention to more. That's the stuff that you're not putting more attention into. And why not? Like, that's why people aren't happy with it, because you're not giving me a good storyline, and you're no longer giving what the original one gave us, which was amazing moments, amazing experiences, something different. And you guys just want to say, well, it's just going to keep throwing the same thing at the wall, and you guys should love it, right? Keep eating your chocolate cake.
See. That's good stuff. Let's see. There you go. That's one.
That's the so you're playing all the 4 stuff. Yeah. Oh.
That's a good one.
Oh.
Let's see. I'm trying to find the one.
Which one are you trying to find?
Like that rock one you were saying, like the standard. I was trying to find the right one. But anyway.
Oh, yeah, I got you. Hold on, I got you.
You know what I'm talking about. Great.
I have them all on here, so it's okay.
That's one of those things that separate Halo as a great thing with the great music, is because a lot of games don't play the music beyond. Yes.
We'll let it get to the guitar part. You gotta
like, yes. That's when you're like, things are happening.
Oh man, it gives you an emotion. It really pulls you in. Like there's a few songs from a few different stuff that bring me in. And then the guy just riffing on it, that's all he wants.
Yep, there we go. See, you get that like,
yep.
That there, right there. Yep, that drop, and you're like, that's Halo. That is Halo.
And then
you shoot stuff. It's fun. And then there's aliens. There's spaceships. There's mystery. There's things happening. There's Cortana, and there's Cortana, and there's Cortana, and there's all other things that happen.
And there's Cortana. and hey, there is Johnson, Sergeant Johnson. Well,
which one is she?
Sarge. No, Sarge. He's the black guy.
Oh, with the cigar.
Yeah, with the cigar. Come on, you always gotta love Sarge. Like right. coming up with the tank. Oh, I know what the ladies like. like come on, it was so great. Like you know what? I was so pissed in Halo 3 when he dies. Spoiler to anyone, but sorry, but it's like when he dies in Halo 3 and there's that moment where he gets shot by stupid guilty Spark, you sit there and you go like, I was so livid. No. Like I was sitting there going like, you're kidding me. He's lived through the first game. He's lived through the second. Like I mean, the first one he probably I love it. Hey Sarge, when are you ever gonna tell us when you got back? How'd you got out of Halo?
Another time.
Well, yeah, I don't have the time. Well, you can forget about me fixing your song nam and your scope. And all the rest of it.
Story for another time, son. Yeah, that's the classic line, right? At least in that it makes sense because you're like, I just don't want to tell you.
What?
Oh,
like, how did you get out of this? It's like I said, and I think that's what it is for me too. Is and even for Halo 4, there was moments where I'm like, I will parody it or it comes to mind about something that was said there or happened on it, and I love it. And I look at Halo 5 and I go, I think sometimes to me that's what almost makes it. If I don't feel like I want to parody, and I don't say parodying things because I want to make fun of them. I like parodying because it is a form of it's the
memeing, right? We
adulation or it's a form of graciousness to say like I like pulling your stuff. I like quoting your this movie or like making light of it because it's like I enjoy it. That's my point. Is I love to call it culture.
Out. It's the mimetic. It's the meme thing, right? Which is the reason meme stuff is even though we meme the Star Wars, the original series, the prequel memes are funny because you're like, yeah, they're not very good, but they're fun to meme. Like they're
fun to meme.
You're like, there's fun to meme
like,
because
someone sends you something that you don't want to see, and you send back the picture of Anakin burning and him going, "I hate you," and you're like, there's I get a kick out of that. Or everyone's personal favorite,
do it.
Do it. Have you watched the video? Have you watched the video of a guy like asking this guy who kind of does the Palpatine voice decently well, like all these different things? He's like, "Hey, my horse threw a shoe. What should I do? Shoo it. Hey, this cat won't get away from here. Shoo it." And all these different ones of him going through, and he's like, "Blew it. Do this." And like it's like, okay, this is the whole point. That's or everyone knows we hate the second movie, Attack of the Clones. But you know how many people always make the joke about I hate sand. It's rough and it's hot and it gets in all these places. I mean,
scene.
it's
that's
like
rough.
So
that's
it's like
a rough
it's
scene.
like there's so, but it's bad when you don't even want to use the memes to even be a playful meme on it bad. And it's like I don't see Halo 5 memes. I see Halo memes. I don't see Halo 5 memes. I see prequel Star Wars memes. The only one I really usually see of the new ones is the picture of Adam Driver without his shirt on, and it just says the extra thick. Like that's the main one I usually see of anyone like doing a meme.
I never see that one even.
Have you? No, it just shows because it's that scene where he's like sitting there shirtless, and he looks like a freaking like refrigerator like without his shirt on.
I know it's very
how white he is, but
it's a very weird scene. Anyway, we won't go down that road of terribleness. But yeah. So those are our two topics of today. I always like too much to have the sake to speak correctly. The bubbly is hit me and made me fudge. And
see, I'm just drinking chai tea because I was trying to get my avatar.
Well, I have a honey.
I need a jasmine. I need jasmine tea.
I have a what am I drinking here? Honey and here's chamomile tea.
Here's an honest question before we leave, though. I'll just pause it to you as just kind of a fun question.
Yeah.
Forecasting. Who even is possibly in your mind who could play Iroh? Of anyone known?
Oh,
if you had someone known, or do you think Because that character's got to be spot on, and they can't screw it up like they did Shyamalan.
Play Iroh, yeah, that's a hard one. The closest I would say, because if they want to find someone who can ethnically in it, they're probably gonna find some actor that I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
But the closest I would say that kind of would fit it, I think, in the vibe, was who played the fake bad guy in Iron Man 3.
Oh, Ben Kingsley.
What's that?
I believe Ben Kingsley. I believe is who you're talking about.
Oh, I'm losing you.
Who
Sorry,
played the fake
Logan.
Mandarin?
Yeah, it was Ben Kingsley.
Yeah.
I could see Ben
I can
Kingsley.
see that.
He's obviously a little thinner than him.
Yeah.
I think he has that right vibe to him. Well, when they had him,
he gets that friendly kind of.
I think he could have. And then the other guy is I just had him. Who is it? He was in I can't remember now. Yeah, I forgot who it was. But I feel like he's kind of the vibe I'd go for. I think he has enough of that like threatening element to him, but also like I think he can come off as quite kind. I forget what he was
I would
in.
agree.
So there was something he was in that I was like, oh, okay, I could see it working for him.
He was in Prince of Persia.
Let's see. There's anything best.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like you said, it probably will be an ethnic choice of,
But I actually play Iro. No, I spelled it wrong. Iro. IHRO? No.
I think it's just IROH, isn't it?
Gosh dang it, I can't spell with the crap tonight. Let's see. Who casted Iro? Let's see when he has anything interesting to say. We'll look at the dangerous place known as Reddit. No, John Goodman is not the right one. No, not Morgan Freeman, not Jackie Chan. No, these are terrible. This is Reddit. You are terrible. What?
Reddit, you suck.
No, all these are bad. Oh, what's this? What? Scarlett Johansson is
What?
as Uncle Iroh. Oh wait, they're just saying everything is. They're just saying everything
Scarlett
is
Johansson is all of them. I get you.
I was very confused there. I was like, what? Like what? No. That was funny. That was funny. When Zuko goes to Sokka's tent and he's like, who are you?
Oh,
waiting
it's so
for?
bad.
Not you.
Oh, nothing. Yeah, no, dude. Well, and I love it too because she has a flower and the flower's taken away, and then so she was technically deflowered. Is literally the imagery being made there, and then the next scene is the next day with Sokka wearing a lei when Aang walks up to him the next morning.
That's hilarious.
So literally you have a scene of Suki walking in there to get deflowered, and the next day you see that Sokka got laid. I mean, I stood there and I went, oh,
I didn't catch that.
You guys are crafty little suckers. Like that is so wonderful.
Let's see.
I don't want to say inappropriate.
Oh, see, like that's good. That guy has the
look. Is that
look.
Jackie? That's Jackie.
Is that Jackie? As an old guy?
That's Jackie.
Maybe Jackie Chan would. Maybe Jackie Chan would.
I don't know if he, but I could see him.
Ken Watanabe?
Actually, if they did him older, because he has the voice. He has that kind of older voice for it. Because here's my thing for Jackie. I don't know if Jackie would have the uncle, voice and that laugh. It's kind of like it's like you need someone who's gonna have that robustness.
Who played Samurai Jack?
Guy who played a coup. It's the same guy.
No, it's a different guy. He passed away.
Well, I know, but they played him. Oh, you're saying the new guy, what he looks like?
Yeah, I'd be curious. Let's see. Written by, directed voices. Oh, interesting. I wonder if he's even.
Is he a Baldwin? I don't think he's I don't think he's a related Baldwin.
Oh, he is What? Is he actually cosplaying as
the fake one?
He is playing as Iroh. What? Was he actually Iroh? Did he actually play Iroh?
Yeah, he played Iroh in the second part.
Oh, he
did the voice. He was the same guy who did the voice acting for him in the second.
Oh, well, just hire him. just hire him. Like
that's yeah. I mean, it's like if you got this, like, I mean, he did a darn close enough job to recreating that voice. Just bring him back. But yeah, it's the same guy since the same guy played Aku and Iroh.
Oh, yeah, just play.
Then they replaced him with the same guy for both. He plays then Aku and then Iroh.
Yeah, Oh, I say my choice is hire the guy who actually, you know what, give him. You know what,
he even has the face.
I mean, he's kind of large, kind of round, and I mean, you know, that's not and
he's
the greatest
he's
cosplay,
got the smile.
But I think he could do it. I think
think so.
I just say get the guy to hire it, and I'd be so much more on board on this show right there.
Oh man, totally.
I'm like wait, you hire the guy who is the voice to Iroh, who's the
here's the thing, like Zuko. Well, the guy who plays Zuko in the show is the kid who played Rufio in Hook.
Right.
And I don't know how he looks, but he probably could come back and actually play Zuko too.
I don't think he could play it now. I think he's too old. Now.
Is he finally gotten to?
Played by. Sorry guys, we're diving deep into this stuff.
We're having fun.
Let's see. Yeah, I think he's a little old now.
Okay.
He could
play Dante Bosco.
He could play. He could play something though. I would. Only thing.
I would bring him.
The only thing that would suck is
when you hear the voice, you're gonna go, "What the hell is Zuko doing as someone else?"
Zuko, the wrong character. You could bring him in as like.
You could bring him in as Zhao. Like he could be Commander Zhao, or he could be one of those others. Like that, I think that would be almost interesting for him to get to play.
He would have been perfect for Zuko. That's too bad.
He would have been perfect when they did the original movie. When they did the Shyamalan movie, I was like, why didn't you bring in Dante Bosco? Like he's the voice and he fits the character.
You know, that's the worst thing. That is the worst thing when you have actors that actually look like the characters they're supposed to be playing, and they're actually close enough that you're like, why didn't you just cast the character as the character that you're making the movie on? I don't care if they're the greatest actor; they're going to be better than the character. Yeah, like he would have worked pretty.
I mean, look
great.
at him; he would have been perfect to play his own self again. No.
We say no there. We say no to that.
No to Hayden. No. Hayden Christensen.
No.
Hayden Christensen.
No, none of that. Anyway,
shame.
so that's we say that the Iroh should be played by the actor who played the voice of Iroh in the last season. That's our.
If any of those characters, it looks enough like the character they look like and are the age for it, freaking bring them on. Like to me, I sit there and I go, you know what? Because guess what? They already got the voice acting down, and they got the character's voice. I think it'll be very easy for them to fit in their own movements that's already part of the voice character that they've created in their mind and what they've seen on show. I think it's way easier than creating someone else to go, okay, I'm going to now try to pretend that I'm the new Iroh. Okay, have fun with it. Yeah, enjoy. Hopefully the writing, works out for you, because otherwise you're going to look like a real jerk. Especially when you say, oh, it's Uncle Iroh, and you go, oh, but I'm sorry, what universe are we in?
No, she plays. She plays Korra. Okay.
I mean, you could.
Yeah, she was fine as Korra. I don't know. Again, most of my shows, there's very few times that I care about the act. Like the actors did. I don't have the acting on Korra was great. I think all the characters were fine. I think it was just some of the writing was kind of weak when it came to Korra. Yeah, it wasn't. I don't.
But yeah,
again,
I think their voice acting. Their voice acting was great, and it definitely adds more too.
I think in most things, that's the thing. Most things, I think the number one complaint, most of my stuff, all of our stuff, really is usually writing. That's the number one complaint, writing and maybe directing on some of the stuff, because the director has too much control in the writing. They're just kind of the same person. But usually the actors are great. Again, acting, voice acting, top-notch stuff. Even the worst stuff is generally pretty decent,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, when you're getting bad stuff, like when you watch, you play old video games or something, and it's like this text comes through and they go, hello, user. Yes, I'm supposed to help you. Can you help me collect these chickens? And you're like, oh my gosh, is this the whole game with this kind of sound? And then you hear anybody who gets some kind of inflection. They're like, it's for something. And you go, oh, I'm in heaven. So it's like, this person actually talks well.
on that note, we're going to wrap up today's episode. Thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you. We have high hopes for the future. I don't know what the next topic's going to be because the world's an ever-changing place with ever-changing good and bad things happening. We don't know what's going to happen next. I hope your cue card of bingo of Into the World events is getting better for you.
I think Sharknado was next or something like that.
Sharknado. We'll see what happens. So, we'll catch you next time.